Hi there, everybody. My name is Soul, and today I want to talk to you about Nightmare Alley. So, going into the theater for this film, all I saw was like the first 30 seconds of the trailer. So, I knew next to nothing going in. I saw that it was directed by Guillermo del Toro. That's enough for me. And going into the film, I thought it was about Bradley Cooper, maybe on his rise to carny fame. I thought it was going to be like The Greatest Showman with Bradley Cooper. No, this is not that kind of film. Bradley Cooper is a man with a hidden backstory that we kind of get in a lot of, flashbacks, and we never really get to fully explore his past. A little open to interpretation, but we do know that he is now living with nothing behind him and goes into the carny business where he's introduced to this very wide cast of characters. Some of them want to sleep with him. Some of them think he would be a good young protege, and some of them are like, I think I might just feed you to the fucking animals. I don't know what I'll do with you. You can sleep behind these fucking mason jars full of little baby corpses. It gets a little weird up in Nightmare Alley, let me tell you. But the film, I think, would have worked better as a mini series or even just had a longer runtime and maybe try to accomplish a little less because the first act of this film is about Bradley Cooper breaking into the carny business and meeting Rooney Mara's character, and they develop a romance, and suddenly they're gonna make it big, and suddenly they just immediately do. And that was really like the first red flag for me because the first act of this film I really love. I really like this location in the circus. I like some of the deeper introspections of some of these characters. Willem Dafoe's character is really interesting, and they seem to just throw it all away for this romance between Bradley Cooper and Rooney Mara. And they get into a romance, and almost immediately there's a time skip. And in that time skip, they have made it big. And their marriage is already like in the fucking shitter the moment we cut forward. So it almost feels like we wasted like time investing into that romance. And keep in mind, it wasn't a very like strong romance. Again, it just felt like, oh, two very attractive actors find the other one attractive. What could happen? But the fact that they just immediately want to just throw that away that plot thread leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And then we go more into Bradley Cooper's psyche. He's basically a master manipulator. He is two steps ahead of everybody else, and he's basically trying to pull off the fact that he can speak to the dead. On top of being a carny, he's just basically a trickster, a swindler, and a lot of people will give him money so he can bullshit them. He's a professional bullshitter. And at some point in the film, he meets Kate Blanchett's character, who's a therapist. She's like world class therapist. Give her a fucking Oscar. Give her all the fucking medals because she is kicking ass in this movie. But I don't really understand why they had to put so many things into this movie because it feels really bloated. We don't get enough time with Kate Blanchett's character. We don't really get enough time with the marriage, and we don't really get enough time developing the final act of this film, which is like literally trying to make a ghost appear before a billionaire's eyes. But really, the entire side arc with Kate Blanchett, where we're going to therapy, but she's like two steps ahead of him, and then we have to get her involved with the finale. um, Overall, serving the plot, that whole arc didn't really feel like it did all that much. And I think we almost should have just got rid of it and focused on what we actually had. And that's not to say that stuff wasn't good. It was very good. It just didn't really progress the characters all that much. It kind of just made us reflect on what we already knew. And again, it just doesn't serve the plot all that well. And what we have are a lot of side arcs that don't feel like they get enough time. Just a character who's low level carny who upgrades to high society and gets ahead of himself, and then he fucks over his wife. That's the story right there, and it tries to do a little bit more than that. And those parts of the film I just felt were rushed or bloated. But I don't want to sound negative about this film. This film kicks ass. Guillermo del Toro makes his films look like $1 million, and this entire film looks astonishing. The outfits, the scenery, everything, cinematography, music. It's your world class act, and I shouldn't even have to say that because that's to be expected with these films at this point. The ending to the film is probably going to be the most memorable part, and it's easily the best acting scene I've seen in probably years. Bradley Cooper puts this film on his back and he carries it over to the finish line with brilliance. But it's one of those endings of a film that will recontextualize the entire film for you, and the metaphor hits that much stronger. You really see what they're going for, and the kind of commentary on addiction and all this other stuff really hits home when you finally get to the end. And yes, the ending is sublime. The ending makes the film just by itself, but the rest of the film is still good too. It again just could have been a little bit better. Could have been a little bit better paced. And if they made this a short series, I think it could have been a 10 out of 10. They could have really done something really great here. But as a film, it's still really good. I'm going to give Nightmare Alley a 7 out of 10. Strong film. Not my favorite Guillermo del Toro film. I still have a lot of those to watch though. I'm talking as if I've seen all his movies. I've seen a few. But this one I like, but again, I think it could have been cleaned up. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts of Nightmare Alley if you had seen it down below, and subscribe. There's a lot of cool videos coming out on this channel if you are so interested. I will see you guys next time, and until then, with that, I leave you.